What's going on, Jeromes? So the only real offseason drama for the Minnesota Fighting Vikings is when will they sign Justin freaking Jefferson to his long-term extension, make him likely the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, and secure his future long-term in purple. Although JJ seems relatively unbothered by it. He is skipping voluntary OTAs, will likely attend mandatory minicamp in 2 weeks if the contract isn't done by then. But overall, I feel like everything has been positive, right? So there hasn't been any leaks through the media. There hasn't been any of that, this, that, or the other thing. And Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell have seemed pretty upbeat and positive about the process of negotiations. Kwesi said that they came very close to a deal before the start of last season, but Herbie Hancocks haven't been put on the dotted line. But I have faith that things will get done. Right, and it is a waning game, and we've gone through the calendar before. I mean, the Vikings tend to like to get deals done right before the start of training camp, and it'll be fine. But Mike Florio, so noted Vikings fan, longtime Vikings fan, Kirk Cousins hater for a long time, but now he's like kind of a fan because he's on the Falcons now. I don't know, man. But of course, the MPA go way back like chiropractic. That's not a thermos, as well as so. I respect Florio's hustle, but sometimes he's like old man yells at cloud. And this is certainly one of them, where he was talking to Chris Sims, son of Boomer Esiason, and basically he was just Florio got very worked up about the current situation. Now, I feel like he ceased to be an analyst, and the fan came out. All right, so it basically, if you close your eyes, which is the best way to watch Florio, and just listen to him rant, it sounded like every single Vikings fan in every single bar in the great state of Minnesota. That's what it was. Well, if they're not going to sign him, they should just trade him. And Florio was fully on the, hey, you haven't signed him, it's only getting more expensive, you just only which is crazy because, I mean, Florio's a lawyer, right? And he understands negotiations, and Florio's been around the NFL for years, decades at this point. So he understands negotiations. And if you're Jefferson's agent, even though like we're rounding third and coming into home, you're holding out for the slight little bit that maybe CeeDee Lamb gets paid, and then all of a sudden precedent means just a little bit more cash. And it's just like, hey, that's why they didn't sign the deal early in the offseason. You allow Amon St. Brown and A.J. Brown get paid. It's setting the floor, jacking up that price a little bit more. That's how it is. That's how the game is played. How Florio completely sets aside decades of NFL coverage and thousands of contracts at this point, as well as his time as a lawyer. I don't get it. I don't understand it, man. Like nothing has happened out of the ordinary of any single large player and team contract extension negotiation so far. But this is what Florio said. If you want him, you pay him. If you don't, you trade him. And again, that's been so weird. It's he said the same thing about Kirk Cousins too. Where it's like, well, if you're not going to pay him, you don't do this half measures. We're going to play games with him. And my intel is, from his perspective, Justin Jefferson's perspective, there may be a perception that they're playing games with him, and that doesn't end well. F around and find out is a mantra that they need to keep in mind if they're indeed effing around with JJ. Now, if this is true, and if he's reporting this, this is the absolute first any type of smoke that has been leaked through the media, through sources. And I don't know. Like we always say in negotiations, if things are quiet, things are going well. If things are getting loud, if all of a sudden Rap Sheet and Schefter and Pelissero are like, sources close to Justin Jefferson say that he's unhappy, or sources close to the team say that JJ's being unreasonable. We haven't heard any of that. Haven't heard any of that at all. But Florio, again, Florio is definitely coming from this as a frustrated fan. So he's basically saying his intel from Jefferson's perspective is that JJ thinks that the Vikings are playing games with him. I don't see that. I don't see that, because if it's true, there would have been clues. There would have been tea leaves. I mean, JJ would have posted something cryptic on social media, as every single player wants to do. JJ's removed all photos of him on social media of him in Vikings uniform. He's unfollowed the Vikings on Instagram. Haven't had any of that at all. So, again, I do think that the contract will get done. We amended our prediction, because initially I predicted that it was going to happen for mandatory minicamp. But then you get into the report of July 31st being a key accounting date for signing bonuses. And you're like, okay, maybe we'll just wait for training camp. Who knows? But I still think that he will be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history in terms of average per season, as well as total guarantee, and deservedly so. And eventually, like, all this drama will just go by the wayside. And JJ, who is still the best wide receiver in the game, will be linked up long-term with JJ McCarthy, Hawkinson, Addison, Anthony Edwards in the state too. All right, so again, Florio is a fan. Florio can have his opinion. Florio has his connections. Florio is fantastic, right? But I just feel like he's overly emotional in this spot, and he's making something out of nothing. And again, I am the king of making something out of nothing. I'm the king of conspiracy, but I don't see it here. I just really don't, man. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Florio has intel on the Justin Jefferson Vikings situation. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.